Welcome back to AM Northwest. Do you keep falling into unhealthy relationships? Are you quick to anger or panic? Maybe you're constantly exhausted. These are just a few of the ways and examples of what trauma can look like, even for those who don't think they've experienced it. Here to share more, we welcome the author of The Truth About Trauma, Dr. Lisa Collins. Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's first talk about what is trauma.
Trauma. Now, I always thought trauma was something big, huge, like a fire.
Like you're involved in a car wreck or a fire, right? Exactly.
But trauma actually happens in the body. So any time the body sees or feels like there's a threat, that's a trauma response. That's trauma.
Give me an example.
Like, for example, if you leave the coffee pot on and you go to work and you go, oh my God, I left the coffee pot on. But then when you go back home, the coffee pot is not on. Your body, the heightened part of your body that is like panicking, that's the trauma.
Can you talk to me about your personal journey in coming to write this book about trauma?
Absolutely. I started back in 2015 when I studied trauma with the Center for Justice and Peace Building. And then that's where I found out that I had trauma. I went there to study something and I found out that I had childhood trauma, that I had experienced addiction trauma, that I experienced family system trauma, and that's when I first became sparked. But when I was at Lewis and Clark, where I got my doctorate, I studied my experience in 3 organizations and found out that I had racial trauma. So now I have all the traumas together.
Yeah.
And the thing that was very healing about this particular book is because I had to heal my old traumas to heal my racial trauma.
Oh, interesting. I do want to mention, you bring up all the different types of trauma, and it included like divorce is a trauma, having parents who degrade you is a trauma, drug addiction that your parents may have had, that kind of thing is a trauma. So what do we know then is your body reacts to something, you said, and it stays with us, and we don't know why. We don't know why we're quick to anger. Right? We don't know why we're irritated.
Right. And the example I have is that what I talk about in the book is I was on a date and someone grabbed me right here. I just touched me gently and I said, don't ever touch me again. Why?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember anything, but my body remembers.
What was it going back to?
I think it was going back to childhood.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly, but something happened where now I'm an adult and I'm going to protect myself.
So how do you work through that, or can you work through that?
Absolutely. The 3 steps that are in the book.
Yeah.
First, your body, getting to know your body. What is trauma and what isn't trauma? That's one part. What happens in your body, being connected to your body? We're super disconnected to our bodies.
Right.
And then your mind patterns. What are you thinking? What is going through your head? Are those positive things? You're wonderful, you're beautiful. Or are they negative things that are going through your mind? And then lastly, when you start to clear that, you get more freedom, you get more peace, and then you become who you really are, which happened to me.
How do you do that?
How do you get more peace?
Yeah.
You run through the three levels.
But like, how do you, once you realize that's your body, do you go back to the time where you experienced that trauma and work through that? Or does knowing why you reacted that way help you?
You don't have to know exactly.
Okay.
What you want to do is you want to be able to take care of yourself as best way you can. So after every chapter are self-care tips, there are meditations, affirmations to help you be comfortable with yourself and not to push yourself. What I found in my life is that pushing myself to know what it is not helpful. Really what I need to know is how to self-care, and then slowly these things peel away.
You talk too about generational trauma, like maybe how a mom didn't really hug you as a child, and then you grew up not really hugging someone else.
Exactly.
Right? Because you don't get what that feeling is about.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't experience hugs.
Right.
And so when people tried to come into my space, I was like, hey, you're violating me.
Right.
But reality is that I wasn't used to that.
Right. And talk to me about the racial trauma you suffered. You said at different organizations. What happened?
Well, what happened is like discrimination of not being given things that other people were given, being excluded. And so I have many examples of being called names. And so over a period of time, I tried to work around them, but what I could see is that, you know, basically the biggest thing that came out of my research is I got to know who I am.
Yeah.
And that's the grounding part of racial healing for all people.
Let's talk about the fight or flight syndrome.
Yes, when something happens, when you feel like,
Right.
I got to get out of here. So our nervous system is always working for us. Either rest and digest, I'm tired, I need a nap.
Right.
Or I got to go. Like I'm panicked, I got to get out of here. And so when that happens, that's a trauma response. That's a response to trauma in your body.
But you also talk then something called freeze.
Yes, when you are frozen, you
Right.
can't talk, you don't have anything to say.
Right.
That's a response to trauma.
And another one, is it fawn?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one is whoever's around you, you want to make sure that they like you. You want to make sure that they know that you're there, and so you're trying to curry favor with them. And that's fawning.
And you really didn't need to do that. If you felt comfortable in your body and your space and your mind, you wouldn't need to do that.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, this is fascinating. The truth about trauma. Dr. Elisa Collins, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.